What's going on? Welcome back. And if that last few seconds to get you really excited about this video, I don't know what to do with you. And what you just saw previously was a beautiful 16 size, 23 jewel Bunn Special. What makes that one so fantastic is the Fishscale pattern that is on the movement. Now, what we're gonna do with that beautiful watch is an overhaul, or a COA, a clean, oil, and assemble. And if any of you aren't familiar with what that means, it means I'm gonna go ahead, take this watch, rip it all apart, and clean it, and then assemble it all back together. The reason I'm doing this, as I do with most of my watches, is just time to time you look at them, make sure they're running right. I noticed this one was running a little sluggishly, so I went ahead, took the balance off, and I noticed some build up on the balance staff, which can happen after oil breaks down a little bit. What I'm gonna do is just go ahead and give this beautiful watch a COA, and I'm gonna take you along for the ride. But before we get into that, please go ahead and like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you're always up to date on what's going on with our channel. And here we are, the star of our show, the 16 size Bunn Special. Now, as I'm starting to take this apart and get it out of this beautiful keystone case, I would like to go ahead and tell you what the rarity is on this watch. Now, in all honesty, Pocket Watch Database is one of the best overall sites around, and as you can see here, I'm gonna be as transparent as possible. Here is the serial number. You guys can look it up. If you look at the Pocket Watch Database, it will tell you great information, like this is a Model 9. It is a 16 size. It was made in 1913. There it is, running a little sluggishly. That's kind of the main concern I had, outside of pulling off the balance and seeing debris built up on the balance shaft pivot. Let the mainspring down, and you will see that the run quantity on Pocket Watch Database is 400. The total production is 169,440. That is all correct. However, not for this watch. It also says it's in bright, it is in the raid pattern and bright spot. This one is Fishscale. So when you're talking about rarer watch or less produced watches, Pocket Watch Database won't narrow it down. You got to know where to look. Where you need to look, you will find that this was made between 1913 and 1914. There was 300 to 330 of them made in 4 runs. So all the treasure hunters, the people that really want to explore and see what's going on with the pocket watches, this is a great example of what to do. And I'm just kind of debunking, trying to be transparent, because on one of my videos, what most collectors don't want you to know about the 163 Type 2E Ellen bar that I reviewed, you know, we had some people saying, no, they made X amount. Look it up, and if they really made 169,000, show me the Fishscale. The Fishscale is just a beautiful pattern, and it looks like fish's scales. Here's an important part that we're gonna do. We're gonna loosen up the screws that hold the feet of the dial in. Now, most watches have anywhere between 2 and 4 of these feet, and if you don't take those screws and loosen them up, you will crack the dial. That dial is porcelain. It is a very tough time fixing it, and usually you'll just have to replace it. So I would just go ahead and be careful if you ever try to take apart a pocket watch yourself. Now I'm going to move the hour wheel, set that aside, remove the canyon pinion. A lot of people use the canyon pinion tools. I have a few of those, however, I just kind of taught myself using the tweezers, and that's kind of the way I go.
Now we're going to remove the complete balance setup. You can't see it here. Just a second, let me remove this dust cover, dust ring, and there is a little groove here on the side. You press up on it, you can get it to raise. You can see it right there at the bottom. There's a little groove. That's where you can put your tweezers and pry it up without breaking or popping or bending anything. Now we're going to go ahead and remove the screw that holds down the ratchet wheel that actually goes over where the mainspring is, or the power of the watch. Pop that guy off. If that was wound up, that would have released, and it can damage the train, the gears that are right there. And now I'm going to go ahead and remove the winding wheel screw. And usually in pocket watches, this is reverse threaded, so righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, not the case here. And this has an inner and an outer housing on it. Now I'm going to take off the barrel bridge, and these are some of the tightest screws I've ever come across. Not gonna lie, they are a little tighter than I've really encountered. And this is the first time I've ever taken apart this pocket watch. And finally got that off, and we will remove the mainspring. That is the power of the watch. And now I'm going to remove the screw on the click spring. This is what holds the power in place, so that when you wind it, it actually stops and holds and will actually run your watch. And in here, I don't know if you can see it that well, there is a little spring. And you gotta be careful getting that out, because honestly, that can fly and you will be on the ground looking for it for a while. I only speak from experience. Now we're gonna go back and we are gonna attack the train bridge. Now that is the bridge that will hold all these other all these gears in place. And once again, it's quite difficult to get these screws off. Someone put some torque on it, or maybe some Loctite. I'm joking, no Loctite. Kind of want to get this off. Be careful not to scratch it. I am taking my time with this movement. Usually I can go pretty quick on these. I don't want to scratch. I don't want to slip. I want to make sure all the pivots are nice and straight, and that the gears are flush and look very flat. Since I have no intention to taking this apart again, I want to make sure I'm going to do this and do it right, because the more time I take it apart and put it back together, the more likely I am to scratch this movement. And if you scratch the movement, especially with the fish scaling on it, it kills the value of the watch. Now I'm going to remove the pallet fork. And if you can see here, there is a little jewel on top of that pallet fork bridge. And just setting that aside, now get part of the keyless works out of there. Kind of separate it off before you throw it in the cleaning basket. And here is the top view of the watch, where you can see the rest of the keyless works, as well as that is the minute wheel. There's a plate that's over top of that. I'm just going to remove this, and we're going to get that out. Always know when working on watches, you gotta find the right blade for the right screw so that you don't slip and you don't mar it. And if it fits in there flushly and firmly, that's what you're looking for. And all these screws are different sizes, so flipping through screwdrivers is very normal. Now, that was the lever set feature, and right there is a spring that will get it to pop back down after you pull it out to set the time. And there we go. Now we're going to get the rest of the keyless works out of there. Two more screws, and that was the setting lever. Now we're going to get the spring that helps engage that setting lever that will move the keyless works to both set and wind. Now, honestly, this is the first time I've had to ever do this. I need to sharpen my screwdriver blades just a little bit because it was honestly very difficult to get those screws out of the train bridge, and I need to get this cap jewel off, and I cannot have a dull blade because if I slip right here, I can basically ruin my watch. So I want to be very careful with this cap jewel. And then I'm going to flip it over on this pith wood and just pop it out gently. Sometimes you need a staking set tool to remove this. However, it was in there loosely and I just popped them out easily with the tweezers. Now I don't need to remove anything else there because those jewels are not capped. They will be open and able to go through my cleaning machine and get 100% washed. Now this is back to the pallet fork bridge. There is a tiny cap jewel on this with a tiny screw. If you see right here, you want to be really careful not losing that because that's going to be a hard screw to replace. And I like to organize these in a way that I can find them and put them back together. Obviously that one is very unique, but when we start messing around with these cap jewels that are on the main plate, I like to keep the screws separate and the cap jewels and the other jewels so that it can go back together how I took it off, because with these higher end watches, they do have a tendency to be polished more than normal, and these jewels fit perfect with what pivot goes in there. So try not to mess them up, because sometimes there are little markings that are on the jewel edge that corresponds with the main plate, and it shows you exactly where it should go back to, so you don't have to guess. Now, if you do know, this watch is a railroad grade. It is adjusted in 6 positions. These ruby jewels that are on the train bridge are raised, but all of them have gold settings. And then on the balance staff, the screws themselves are gold, as well as the train. Now, it's not the gold that you're thinking, because that would be too malleable and it wouldn't operate properly, and the gears and the teeth would not work properly, but it's more or less gold plated. And then you can use a toothpick or, once again, a staking set, whatever you feel comfortable with. I do not like to use tweezers when it is a little bit harder, because just the simple fact that you can scratch or break these jewels. Now, they're not actual ruby jewels, they are synthetic plastic, and they are designed for less friction so that your watch can run smoother for a longer period of time. Now here is the complete balance setup. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and remove this little screw that will remove the collet stud from the balance and release the hairspring along with the balance staff and the balance wheel. And right there, those little screws on the edge of that wheel, those are gold. And you don't really want to drop it like that, so be careful. And now I can get to that raised jewel on the balance. And on this one, it's actually capped and the screws are from the bottom. So I'm going to take my tweezers, push down on the screws, and they pop right out. And there we go. And here is all of our pieces. And now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to run this in 2 waves because I do not want any of the plates that have the Fishscale demasking scratched or rubbing against each other or rubbing against the mesh on my cleaning baskets. So I'm going to be very careful how I put this in here because once again, outside of cleaning it, I'm trying to preserve any wear and tear on this just exceptional movement. I mean, this is probably one of my favorite designs on a pocket watch. The Fishscale, the crosshatch, I absolutely love them. I challenge you to go do your research and just look at the different styles and the different patterns and the different designs that some of these American pocket watch companies had. It is absolutely remarkable, and it kind of makes a collection with inside of a collection with inside of a collection, if that makes sense. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you that taking apart this watch was a little scary because I absolutely love this watch. When I first saw it, just fell head over heels for it, had to have it. I believe I gave up a Rockford 906, or a 900. It's the 24 jewel pocket watch, 18 size. So it went immediately when I saw that. Going ahead and speed this up, let you know that what I am doing here is a little bit above and beyond. This just came out of the cleaning bin, not the cleaning bin, sorry, it came out of the cleaning machine, and just going over it, making sure everything looks right. There's no debris, there's no residue, there's no missed parts that were cleaned. And what I do here is, once again, this might be overkill. I don't really care. I don't plan on cleaning this watch again. What I'm gonna do is go ahead and I just have a cleaning solution, a little bit of L&R cleaning solution, and I'm just letting these guys soak, getting all of the residue off of these cap jewels and the other jewels so that this watch can run as smoothly as possible. And once again, I do not want to get these mixed up. I want to know where they are so when I put this watch back together, it can definitely go in the right place, and there's no question if it's a tight fit, if it's a loose fit with the pivot on any of the gears, it just will make it easier for me when I put it back together. And if you can see at the side of the screen, the screws are still in the same spot. Those are all the same size with the exception of the pallet fork bridge, but just want everyone to know that stick around because part 2 will be coming out when we put this back together. We will see how everything goes. Guys, I'd love to hear your opinions about this. How do you feel about this watch? Have you seen them? Do you have any? Love to see pictures. Please like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. We are coming out with more content. I'm gonna try to record everything I am doing on the bench. So if you'd like to see anything in particular, please leave it down below in the comments. And as always, be on the lookout for mechanical art. The hunt is real. Until next time, see you guys later.